Welcome to the CloudSME portal tutorial. In this tutorial we will explain the creation and usage of a simple workflow. To start working, you need to sign in with your email address and password. First we will create the graph of our workflow. Click the workflow menu point and select the Graph tab. Then click the Graph Editor button. Make sure you have the required Java applications. Select Graph, New Job, to add a new job to your graph. By double-clicking on the orange icon of the job, you can change its name. Click the New Port button 3 times, because the sample job uses 3 ports, 2 input ports and 1 output port. Double-click on the port image and set port types to N, at both input ports. Set port name to input 1, for the first input port, and input 2, for the second input port. Double-click on the third port image and set the port type to Out, and set port name to Output. Save the graph by clicking on the Graph menu and then Save. You can name your graph as you wish. Now you can close the Graph Editor and return to the portal. By clicking on the Refresh button you will see your newly created graph in the list. In the next step we will create the concrete workflow, from the previously created graph. Select Workflow, Create Concrete, from the menu. Select your saved graph name from the graph list. Add a name for your new workflow. Click OK. Now, that you have the concrete workflow, you need to configure it. Select Workflow, Concrete. By clicking on the Info button you can see the current status of your workflow. With the Back button go back to the list of concrete workflows. Go to the row of your workflow and click on Configure. Click on the orange icon of the job to go to its settings page. In the Job Executable tab, set the following properties. Type, Cloud Broker. Name, CloudSME. Software, click on the Enable on Executable button. Resource, Open Nebula MTAs Taki. Region, Open Nebula MTAs Taki. Instance type, Open Nebula MTAs Taki. Executable code of binary, select your own file to execute. In this example the executable is a simple script, the cell sleepsack.sh. Argument string, 1. Assign breakpoint, no breakpoint. In this case we don't use breakpoint. Save the settings by clicking on the big green button on the bottom of the page. In the Job I/O tab, set the following properties, select Input 1. Select Uploads icon. In the row of Source of input directed to this port, select the input file with the name Input 1. Select Input 2. Select Uploads icon. In the row of Source of input directed to this port, select the input file with the name Input 2. Save the settings by clicking on the big green button on the bottom of the page. Save the entire configuration by clicking on the floppy icon on the top of the concrete window. With the Back button go back to the list of concrete workflows. By clicking on the Info button you can see the current status of your workflow. Now we are going to submit the workflow. In the Workflow, Concrete window, click on the Submit button of your workflows row. The workflows can be submitted several times. To check the submissions of a specific workflow click on the Details button. Job status window can be reached by clicking on the View Running or View Finished buttons. The state of a submitted workflow can also be checked on the Cloud Broker platform interface of CloudSME, by clicking on the resource link, in the Job Status window. Sign into the Cloud Broker platform. Click on the timeline bar. This will show you more details of a job progress. When you are finished checking the status on the Cloud Broker platform, close the window and return to the portal. You can check the changes on the status of the workflow by clicking on the refresh button. When the state of a job has changed to finished, then the job execution is completed. Click on View Finished, in the Details window. Click on STD Output, in the Job Status window, to get the result. Click on the Download File Output button, to download the entire output in zip format. You can unzip the downloaded files to see all outputs on your computer. Thank you for watching our tutorial.